So, you're ready to buy some parts for your new PC build.
Hi, I'm Paul, this is Diane, and we are the PC Zombies. And today we're going to talk about 3 tricks we learned on how to buy parts for a new PC build. The goal here is to have fewer headaches and save money and get more success out of the final build.
So, what's the first trick?
Okay, the first trick is buy only the parts you need to build the minimum computer you can. So let's just say you're starting out. You want to select all of your components right away so that you know exactly what you're going to buy. But just buy the minimum subset first so you can test it and make sure all the parts work within their warranty. Not their warranty. Diane explained to me. Why don't you explain this again?
Well, the return policy, a warranty is a little different than a return policy.
Right, so the return policy is what you're concerned about. You don't want a refurbished part sent back to you because of a warranty. You want a new part. That's what you paid for.
Right.
Once you get those minimal number of parts together, put it together. That way, if you have a bad memory, bad motherboard, or bad CPU memory controller, all 3 affect the memory. You don't know which one you're replacing. You have time now to return that item, get a new product back, and hopefully confirm that the other parts still work.
What are the minimum parts that you'll need?
Okay, so the minimum parts that you need to purchase are going to be the CPU, the motherboard, the memory, and the OS. These components generally aren't very upgradable. The new CPs you buy probably won't work on your old motherboard. But your SSDs, your case, some other things you can go ahead and use an old one of. Maybe your power supply if it has enough power, maybe your cooling fan if it'll fit on the new CPU, your graphics card if you're a gamer especially. But you know what? Don't buy the graphics card right away. Get it all working and then buy a graphics card. Or if you can, buy the graphics card and test it out on your old PC. But make sure it works before that 30-day return window is up. You have to have these components to make it say hello world, but you don't have to have new components.
What are the optional parts? What parts won't you need to buy?
Okay, so the parts you may put off the longest, anything that adorns your PC. These are the things she likes the most. So your RGB lighting, a graphics card plate, maybe you're buying fancy cables like cable mod cables. The other thing you may not buy is extra SSDs and cooling fan, cooling system. In fact, you could test your whole PC with air cooling and then buy the water cooling system and put that together for overclocking the PC later, if you're going to overclock. Those things you really don't need to buy early on. And if you do buy them, they're very expensive, sometimes like the cabling, and you really want to be able to return it if they're the wrong length. What's the second point, Di?
It's to pick your vendors carefully.
Yes.
There's 3 vendors that we use. It's Amazon, Newegg, and...
The original manufacturer sometimes.
Oh yes, the original manufacturer.
So like if you're buying a graphics card from ASUS, you can either buy it from Amazon or ASUS. So why does it matter how you pick your vendor?
Because most vendors will offer free shipping in the 30-day return policy. Amazon will also offer you free shipping if you have to return an item.
And also, I was thinking about it, you know, Amazon, if you think your memory card is bad, I've noticed that I can just say, hey, return the memory, immediately order another one. By the next day, I have the new memory at home. Amazon gets to wait until they get the product back before they refund the money, but at least I know I've got the memory and I can keep working on my computer.
And the key thing is to make sure it's shipped and sold by Amazon.
Yes. Look real closely when you're buying it. If it says sold by Amazon, shipped by Amazon, that's the best. You get the best return policy. They cover the return shipping. Is there anything else about picking the vendor that matters?
Yeah, it's the timing. Actually, if you buy it around Thanksgiving, you get a bigger window of returning your product.
That's a very good one.
Yes, you have until January to return your product.
Yeah, this happened on a build last year to us. I started buying the parts after Thanksgiving, and I noticed Amazon said you got till January 31st to return it. Whoa, I got 2 months? I can go ahead and get all the parts and do that. It's easy to do it within time. Yeah. Anything else?
Well, there's something not really related to the vendors, but to your credit card. You actually get extended warranty if you use your credit card.
It's depending on what
kind of card
terms are on your credit card. But
yes.
You know, that's a good point. We had something that we wanted to return that was really a pain in the butt last summer, and we forgot until after the whole ordeal was over, the return window was closed. Oh, our credit card may have covered it.
Yes.
But you know, you're always buying on Amazon, they have your credit card, you don't remember this stuff.
Right.
Is there anything more?
No, but what's the third trick?
All right, the third trick is don't buy any single part until you've selected and are sure of what all the parts you're going to buy. A quick example of this. if you buy the CPU because you think, oh, this is the CPU I want, and I love this motherboard, well, you got to make sure those are compatible. So don't just order the CPU right away because that's the one you want. Make sure that you could find the motherboard you want as well, and it's available to buy, and from the vendor you want to buy it from before you start. Before I build a new PC, I would like to make sure I'm solving all my performance problems. Watch our other video, which I'll link to, on how to find your performance problems. But we also are going to be producing new videos that talk about how you purchase any individual component. So we'll talk about what you need to look at when you buy a CPU to make sure it's compatible with the memory and the motherboard, which order you should be buying things. You always start with the CPU, so start with that video.
Okay.
But we also talk about how to buy a motherboard, how to pick and buy memory, how to pick and buy hard drives, cases, everything. So there's a video on each one of these things. It's worth watching because there's some things you might want to know to make sure everything's compatible at the end. So you're just buying once and then putting it together and it works. This also helps in keeping the budget under control. If you say, oh, I really want this CPU and motherboard, you may find you don't have the budget to buy the right memory and SSD and graphics card to really get that gaming PC you want or that scientific PC you want. And if you know, for example, you think, oh, I need a really big, fast CPU with lots of cores, go watch our other video on what's slowing down my PC because you may not need that. But there's even one more real important reason to figure out what you want to buy before you buy your components, and what's that, Di?
Well, on my computer, the RGB lights and the fans changed.
Yeah, when we built her PC, and it's really easy to do this. You go to Amazon, you say, oh, I need to buy a fan. Oh, this one has RGB. Oh, I'll buy that fan. It's got good reviews. And you get it and you find, okay, you're gonna need to have connectors from your power supply to the fan. You're gonna need to have connectors from the fan to the RGB management. Maybe it goes to your motherboard. Maybe you have to buy a separate little module or a piece of hardware that it has to go to before it goes to your motherboard. And let's say you buy an all-in-one cooler as well, and it has RGB on it, and it has its own USB connector that goes to the motherboard or whatever else. You want to manage your thermal footprint of your computer so that when you're doing lots of processing, it turns on the fans, but turns off the fans when you're just doing little things like surfing the web. That way it's a quiet computer.
Which I wanted.
And you want your RGB lights to all work correctly. At the end of the day, all of these different incompatible things that you're buying have different management software. So you had to go to the motherboard, ASUS in this case, and say, use ASUS to manage the RGB lights, use Corsair to manage the fan lights and how fast the fans go, and use NZXT to manage how the water cooler works. So you really want to make sure that you got things that are fairly compatible. But what's happening is these management software keeps upgrading itself and upgrading itself. The one that I started off with my last ASUS motherboard for you has changed so many times, we have to reprogram the profiles to get the lighting to work again. That's why your lighting is kind of stuck in one color right now.
Right.
Now you can't buy everything from the same vendor. I personally like Corsair for the management software. And by picking that brand, I go ahead and buy Corsair memory. I buy Corsair for my water cooling. To the degree I can, when I do a custom loop, maybe not so much. I'm not sponsored by Corsair.
I was gonna say that.
But I like it because you get one cable that goes to the fan and then to the next fan. You don't have to have a cable for power and a cable for control. That makes building it easier and it makes managing it over time easier.
So is that it?
Yes, that's it. Please subscribe to see our next video, which is how to pick a CPU for a new PC build.
And thanks for watching. Please give us a thumbs up if you liked this video.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.